In today's world, we face many tremendous threats, some of which are too often overlooked. These threats come in many forms, including military power, weaponry, and unpredictable weather. The danger is real, even if it is not always talked about openly. For example, this winter, dangerous, icy weather swept across much of the world, causing severe disruptions. In fact, more than 6 million Americans were under winter weather alerts, showing just how quickly natural events can become life-threatening. But beyond weather disruptions, the world is also seeing growing political unrest. Countries like Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Iran are on high alert, caught in the complex web of international tensions. We are witnessing a time where storms are not only literal but symbolic of the chaos that often defines human history. It is hard to ignore the unsettling reality that wars are spreading. Cities are being devastated by natural disasters, and political tensions are rising to dangerous levels. All around us, we see signs that point to something far greater, the possibility that we are living in the last days. The End Times Prophecies. For centuries, the Bible has warned about a time when the world would face unimaginable trials. These trials would include wars, famines, disease, and death. The world would experience devastation like never before, and many of the signs that mark the end times seem to be unfolding before our very eyes. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, representing conquest, war, famine, and death, are symbols of these calamities. As we look at today's world, we see political unrest, environmental disasters, and escalating conflicts across the globe. Could we be living in the times that the Bible foretold? As we look deeper into the current events and compare them with the Bible's prophecies, the connections are hard to ignore. Some even wonder if the year 2025 could be the year when these prophecies begin to unfold. The rise of the Antichrist. In Revelation 13, we read about a leader who will rise to power out of the chaos. This leader, often referred to as the Antichrist, will promise peace but will bring about great evil. He will be a figure of incredible power, able to deceive many people into following him. His authority will sway nations and individuals, but his true nature will embody rebellion against God. Revelation 13 verses 1-8 says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. This figure will deceive the world under the guise of peace and unity, but his heart will be far from the truth." Many believe that the rise of political movements and the push for global unity are early signs of the Antichrist's influence. Today, we hear calls for international cooperation and a new world order, where national boundaries may no longer have the same significance. These movements, often wrapped in promises of peace and prosperity, could be setting the stage for a powerful figure who will claim to have the answers to humanity's deepest crises. But in reality, he may be leading the world toward destruction. The Mark of the Beast. Revelation 13 verses 16-18 describes a time when a global system will be put in place that requires every individual to receive a mark in order to participate in society. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." The Bible describes a time when no one will be able to buy or sell unless they bear the mark of the beast, which is associated with the number 666. In today's world, we are seeing the rapid rise of digital currencies, biometric technologies, and even implantable microchips. These technologies, while initially presented as conveniences, hold the potential for total surveillance and control. The Bible's warning about a global control system and the mark of the beast may not just be symbolic. It could become a literal reality. The world is already heading in a direction where personal freedoms are being eroded in the name of convenience, security, and cooperation. Armageddon and the Final Battle. Revelation 16 verse 16 speaks of the final battle in the valley of Megiddo, where the forces of good and evil will meet. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. The Bible tells us that the world's nations will gather in the Middle East, and the land of Israel will become the battleground for the final confrontation between the forces of light and darkness. The significance of this prophecy is increasingly clear as political and military tensions rise in the Middle East. Israel has long been at the center of global conflict, and the situation there is only becoming more volatile. As the nations of the world jockey for power and influence, the prophecy of Armageddon seems to be drawing closer. It will not only be a military battle, but a spiritual one, with forces of good and evil fighting for the soul of humanity. The destruction of Damascus. Isaiah 17 speaks of the destruction of Damascus, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. This prophecy has been coming closer to fulfillment in recent years due to the ongoing Syrian civil war. Damascus has been severely damaged by airstrikes, artillery, and ground assaults, and its destruction seems increasingly likely. Could this be the moment when Isaiah's words come to life? The fall of Damascus is not just a military defeat but a symbolic event, signaling the end of an era. As Syria continues to be torn apart by conflict, the prophecy of Isaiah 17 appears to be unfolding before our eyes. The four horsemen of the apocalypse. In Revelation 6 verses 1 to 8, the four horsemen of the apocalypse are released, each one representing a different aspect of the coming destruction. These horsemen are conquest, war, famine, and death, forces that will bring devastation to the earth. The red horse. This horse represents war, and we are living in a time of escalating global tensions. Conflicts in the Middle East, the rise of new superpowers, and the threat of nuclear escalation have created an atmosphere of constant instability. War could break out at any time, dragging nations into conflict and reshaping the global order. The black horse. The black horse represents famine, which could become a real problem in the coming years. The world is already facing food insecurity due to climate change, supply chain disruptions, and economic instability. Famine could spread to many parts of the world, exacerbating the suffering caused by conflict and disease. The pale horse. The pale horse represents death, a death that will be widespread and catastrophic. With wars, pestilence, and famine already taking lives in large numbers, death is becoming an increasingly central feature of the last days. The death toll from conflict, disease, and hunger has already risen in recent years, and it could rise even more as the world moves closer to the end. The purification by fire. 2 Peter 3 verse 10 warns of a time when the heavens and the earth will be destroyed by fire. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. This fiery destruction is often interpreted as the final judgment, a cleansing of the world's sin. Today, the world faces several potential sources of such devastation. The threat of nuclear war remains ever present, with tensions between world powers growing. The rise of climate change is also accelerating the risk of global destruction. Extreme wildfires, droughts, and rising temperatures are already causing devastation, and scientists warn that we may be on the brink of irreversible environmental damage. Could this be the literal fulfillment of the prophecy of purification by fire? The fall of modern Babylon. Revelation 18 speaks of the fall of Babylon, a city that symbolizes wealth, decadence, and moral decay. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Babylon represents a system built on greed, excess, and exploitation. It is a city that promises prosperity and security, but ultimately leads to destruction. Today's world is building its own version of Babylon. The global financial system often prioritizes the rich while exploiting the poor. Many people have been lured into a false sense of security by promises of wealth and indulgence, But the Bible warns that this system will ultimately collapse. When it does, the world will be left to face the consequences of its moral and spiritual decay.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.